For an entire generation, this was the ultimate dream car. They raced it for thousands of hours in video games. They watched it tear up the screen in street racing movies. They taped posters of it to their bedroom walls. But there was just one problem. In America, it was completely illegal to own. You could drive it in a game. You could watch it in a film. But you could not park it in your driveway. This is the Nissan Skyline GT-R. The forbidden supercar the world nicknamed Godzilla. To understand the legend, you have to look under the skin. Because the Skyline GT-R was not a flashy supercar. From the outside, it looked like a fairly ordinary Japanese coupe. No scissor doors. No exotic badge. No screaming paint. But underneath, it was a weapon built for one job, to win. At its heart sat an engine called the R36 DETT. A 2.6-liter inline-six with 2 turbochargers. It was built with racing in mind from the very first sketch. Officially, Nissan claimed it made 276 horsepower. That number was a lie. It was part of a gentleman's agreement between Japanese makers. They all promised never to advertise more than 276. In reality, the RB26 made well over 300 from the factory. And the engine was massively overbuilt. Its iron block could handle enormous abuse. Tuners discovered it could take huge amounts of boost. They pushed the RB26 past 1,000 horsepower. On the same basic block that left the factory. Then there was the secret weapon, the all-wheel drive system. Nissan called it ATTESA ETS. Normally, the GT-R drove like a rear-wheel drive car. But the instant a wheel slipped, computers sent power to the front. It gave the car supercar grip in rain, snow, or on a track. There was even four-wheel steering, called super hikers. All of that engineering had one purpose. To dominate motorsport. And it did. In 1989, the R32 generation GT-R was born. Nissan immediately took it racing in Group A touring cars. The result was not a win. It was total annihilation. In Japanese touring car racing, it simply won everything. Race after race, season after season, it never lost. Then Nissan sent it to Australia. Down there, big V8 muscle cars ruled the touring car scene. The Skyline humiliated them. It won the legendary Bathurst 1000. It crushed the local heroes on their home track. Australian fans and media were stunned, and a little angry. One Australian magazine gave the car a nickname. They called it Godzilla. The monster from Japan that destroyed everything in its path. The name stuck, and it stuck forever. The GT-R became so dominant it was actually a problem. It was winning so easily that it hurt the racing. Officials piled on weight penalties to slow it down. When that failed, they changed the rules entirely. Some say the GT-R was effectively banned for winning too much. Think about that. A car so good that the sport had to rewrite its rulebook. The GT-R also evolved through 3 legendary generations. First came the R32, the original Godzilla. Raw, light, and brutally effective on the track. Then in 1995 came the R33. Bigger and more refined, but still a monster. Nissan claimed the R33 lapped the Nürburgring under 8 minutes. A stunning time for a car of that era. The Nürburgring became the GT-R's personal proving ground. Engineers practically lived at the German track. Then, in 1999, came the one everyone remembers. The R34. Shorter, sharper, and more aggressive than before. It had a famous screen in the dashboard showing live engine data. Turbo boost, oil temperature, G-force, all in real time. It looked like a fighter jet for the road. To many fans, the R34 is the most beautiful GT-R ever made. 3 generations, 1 bloodline. Each one faster, each one more legendary than the last. But the strange thing is this. Most of the people who worshipped these cars had never seen one. Because the Skyline was never sold new in America. Almost no one in the West had touched one in real life. So how did millions of kids fall in love with it? The answer was a video game. In 1997, a racing game called Gran Turismo arrived on PlayStation. It was unlike anything gamers had seen before. Real cars, real physics, in stunning detail. And one car stood at the very top of the dream list. The Skyline GT-R. Suddenly, a kid in America or Europe could drive Godzilla. They could tune it, race it, and learn every single part. They memorized its specs without ever sitting in one. For a whole generation of gamers, the GT-R was the goal. The fastest, coolest car they had ever controlled. Gran Turismo sold tens of millions of copies worldwide. And it turned the Skyline into a global icon. A Japanese car most of its fans could only drive virtually. Then came Need for Speed, and a flood of other games. The legend grew with every console generation. And then Hollywood made it even bigger. In the early 2000s, a new movie series exploded onto screens. It was built entirely around import tuner culture. Fast cars, neon lights, and screaming Japanese engines. The Fast and the Furious turned street racing into a phenomenon. And the Skyline GT-R became one of its biggest stars. In the second film, the hero drove a silver R34 GT-R. He was played by the late actor Paul Walker. For millions of viewers, that car was unforgettable. Overnight, the R34 became the most wanted car of its generation. It was the face of the entire import scene. Then there was anime and manga. Japanese car culture had its own legends on the page and screen. Street racing stories made the GT-R a hero again and again. Movie fame, game fame, and anime fame fed into each other. The Skyline was suddenly everywhere in pop culture. On screens, in games, on posters, in magazines. Kids who could not even drive yet knew every GT-R by name. It was the definition of cool for an entire generation. Everywhere, that is, except on American roads. Because there was still that one enormous problem. The car was a worldwide superstar. And in the United States, it was contraband. So why exactly was the Skyline illegal in America? It comes down to safety and emissions law. Every car sold new in the US must be federalized. It has to pass strict American crash and pollution tests. Nissan built the GT-R for Japan, in right-hand drive. It was never certified for the United States. And a law called the 25-year rule blocked imports. A car had to be 25 years old to come in freely. For a brand new Skyline, that was a lifetime away. So for decades, the Skyline was forbidden fruit. Some people tried to import them anyway. And the government's response was brutal. Customs agents seized illegally imported Skylines. And then they crushed them. Pristine, irreplaceable cars, flattened into scrap metal. It became a symbol of the whole absurd situation. But banning something only makes people want it more. The Skyline became the ultimate symbol of forbidden speed. The car America told you that you could not have. Enthusiasts began counting down the years, model by model. When the R32 finally turned 25 and became legal, prices for clean examples shot through the roof. A car once ignored was suddenly worth a fortune. The forbidden dream was finally, legally, within reach. And out on the road, the Skyline lived up to every myth. It was a true giant killer. A properly tuned GT-R could humiliate exotic supercars. Cars from Ferrari, Porsche, and Lamborghini. Machines costing 3 or 4 times as much. The Skyline would line up next to them and win. Its all-wheel drive launch was violent and instant. No wheel spin, just a brutal slingshot off the line. And the RB26 engine was nearly indestructible when built right. It became the king of street racing and the drag strip. An entire global industry grew up around tuning it. Owners chased bigger turbos and higher horsepower. 1,000-horsepower street Skylines became almost normal. Some pushed well beyond 2,000 horsepower. No other car offered so much performance for the money. It was the ultimate underdog. A humble-looking coupe that destroyed supercar royalty. That is the heart of the Godzilla legend. Not just speed, but the joy of beating the rich kids. The people's supercar. Then Nissan did something bold. In 2007, it launched an all-new GT-R. The R35. For the first time, it dropped the Skyline name. And for the first time, it was sold officially in America. Godzilla was finally, legally, on sale in the States. The R35 was a technological monster. A hand-built twin-turbo V6 and computer-controlled all-wheel drive. Launch control that fired it to 60 in under 3 seconds. It set a shocking lap time at the Nürburgring. It embarrassed supercars that cost 2 or 3 times as much. Once again, the world called it Godzilla. The giant killer, reborn for a new century. The legend that started in a video game was now real. And you could buy it from a dealer. Yet the R35 stayed in production for an astonishing time. Nissan kept improving the same car for well over a decade. It became old, and somehow that made it more loved. The last analog-feeling supercar in a digital world. And the older Skylines? They became more beloved than ever. Today, the early Skylines are finally legal in America. Godzilla walks American streets at last. Clean R32s, R33s, and R34s sell for staggering money. Cars once worth a few thousand now cost 6 figures. The forbidden fruit became one of the best investments in cars. And the love for it has never faded. Think about what the Skyline GT-R really is. A car that conquered racing so completely they called it a monster. A car that millions first drove inside a video game. A car that a movie turned into a worldwide symbol. A car so wanted that being banned only made it stronger. It proved that a legend does not need a fancy badge or a high price. It just needs to be the dream of an entire generation. It needs a story, a sound, and a nickname that never dies. Godzilla was never just a car. It was a video game hero made of steel. It was a movie star you were not allowed to own. It was the forbidden dream that pop culture made real. And that is why, decades later, the world still bows to the king of the streets.